stop. Your emergency fund is broken, and I'm about to prove it to you with simple math. Right now, while you think you're being responsible with that $50,000 sitting in savings, earning practically nothing, inflation is literally stealing money from your pocket every single day. But what if I told you there's a strategy that lets you have access to your emergency fund while the same money actually builds generational wealth for you and your family? The wealthy have been using this strategy for over 100 years, and today I'm going to show you exactly how. So pay close attention because this could actually change everything for the rest of your entire life. Look, I used to be one of those people with a comfy emergency fund sitting in a savings account, thinking I was some kind of financial genius. I had a chunk of money just sitting there earning like 0.5%, less than 1% interest, while I patted myself on the back for being so-called prepared. I was dead wrong. Even if you're smarter than I was and have your emergency fund in a high yield savings account earning 4%, what I'm about to show you will make that look like pocket change. I discovered something that completely shattered everything that I thought and I knew about emergency funds and money overall. And I'm going to show you exactly what it is. But first, I need to prove to you with cold hard math why your current emergency fund strategy is making you poorer every single day, even though it feels safe. Here's the math that kind of woke me up and will probably shock you. So let's say that you have $50,000 sitting in an emergency fund in your traditional bank account. And that's probably earning 0.5%. That's the national average. It's less than 1% for bank accounts today. Don't even get me started on how banks just have hijacked your money. I cover that in other videos on this channel, so definitely go take a look at those. I explain it in super detail, and even in a masterclass that I'll share with you at the end of this video that's here on YouTube, I go deep into detail on that. So after 1 year in this emergency fund, you're going to have $50,250. So congratulations, you made a whopping $250 by your money just sitting in the bank account. But here's the gut punch. If inflation, she got inflation and is running at about like the 3% average, which is what the government calls normal, then you actually need $51,500 in today's money to actually buy what used to cost $50,000 last year. You need to understand purchasing power. Some people just look at the dollar value. If you do the math, your account shows $50,250, but you've lost actually 12. So this is in the red. You've lost $1,250 in purchasing power. Your emergency fund got smaller while the number actually got bigger, right? It's super deceptive. You've been robbed and you don't even know it. That's probably got to be the worst feeling. But it actually gets much worse than that. Over 10 years, your $50,000 that you had in there becomes $52,500 in the bank, earning that less than 1%. We still have that 3% inflation going on, right? And that obviously fluctuates. You'd actually need $67,195 in the bank to buy what $50,000 buys today. So due to inflation, let's put this in another color here, you actually lost $15,000 in purchasing power while you thought you would be responsible by keeping your money sitting in the bank. So that's not financial planning. That is financial suicide in slow motion, super painful. Now, let me show you that there are 3 different approaches when it comes to emergency funds. And I think after you see all 3, you'll understand why I would never, and I do mean never, do anything but option 3. And it's what I've been doing for the last almost 4.5 years. But I'll let you be the judge after taking a look at the information. Let's look at option number 1. We have what I like to call the wicked and lazy savers. And before you get all offended, that's not my term. That's straight from the mouth of Jesus himself in Matthew 25. These are people who keep their emergency funds in savings accounts, CDs, money markets, because they're terrified of losing money, right? So they think it's safe and parked there. And they probably say things like, at least I know my money is safe, or I can't afford to risk my emergency fund, right? And I think they're playing it safe. And look, I get it. I used to think the same exact way. But here's what the wicked and lazy savers actually don't realize. They're not keeping their money safe. They're guaranteeing that they'll lose money every single year just due to inflation, right? We just went over those numbers. And just like the servant in the parable of the talents who buried their master's money for safekeeping, they think they're being responsible. But what did the master call that servant who buried the money? He called them wicked and lazy. And here's the part that really should make your blood boil, because the banks actually don't hold on to your money that entire time. I actually used to think they did. I thought they just kept it in a safe, in a vault with my name on it, waiting for me to come get it. But what do they actually do? They loan out your money to other people in the form of car loans at 7%, mortgages at 6%, credit cards at 18 to 24%, and business loans at 7, 10, 15%. So while you're earning 0.5% on your safe money, the bank is using your money that you loan to them for practically free, and they're earning 400 to 1,000% lending out your money to other people. Welcome to the business of banking. It's one of the most successful businesses in the world. Probably didn't think that banking is a business, but it is. You heard that right. It's 400 to 1,000%. Banks will not loan out your money. Again, your money, not theirs, for less than 400%. I have other videos on my channel that break down that math for you in detail. So I'll share a link with you at the end of this video to a masterclass as well that I did that goes deep into this strategy. And I actually dive deep into that math as well. And you'll be pretty blown away at what banks are doing with your money and how they're profiting and why they have some of the best real estate in the world on some of the busiest corners all around the world. So you did all the savings and they did all the profiting. And really, at the end of the day, you've been played. God expects multiplication, not preservation. Take a look at the parable of the talents. It makes it crystal clear. So let's move on to option 2. And it's what I like to call the investment gamblers. These people have the right mindset about multiplication, but they're playing Russian roulette with their emergency fund and putting all their money at risk. They put it into something like the stock market, hoping for good returns, or on the crypto market. Not a good idea. The problem should be pretty obvious. When you actually need your emergency fund, Murphy's Law kicks in. The market is down 15%, 20%. Picture this. You put $50,000 into the stock market in your emergency fund, and then life happens. Maybe you lose your job during a recession and you need that money to live on, so you want to pull from your emergency fund. But guess what happens to the stock market during a recession? It crashes. So your $50,000 emergency fund now is worth a lot less. And then you have to sell at a loss to be able to just take care of yourself and live life. These people do not sleep well at night, and for good reason, because they are just putting their entire emergency fund at extreme risk. So I do not recommend that. So let's look at option number 3. And this is what I call the storehouse builders. This is the third group, and I think the smartest group when you really understand why they're doing it. These are people who I believe have cracked the code on how to have an emergency fund and use the money to build wealth simultaneously. They're literally using their money without ever interrupting its growth or putting it at risk. Now, that sounds impossible or maybe too good to be true, right? It did to me when I first heard it, but once I actually understood it, I never looked at money again the same way. I realized why this has been the best kept secret of wealthy families for over 100 years. And I call it the Storehouse Strategy. Let's take a look at how it works. So instead of putting your emergency fund in a savings account or gambling it in the stock market, you're going to take that $50K that you have and you're going to put it into a specially designed whole life insurance policy. Now, before you start rolling your eyes and thinking, Eric, really? Insurance? Let me show you why it's pure genius and why families like the Rockefellers have been doing this for generations. This is not your typical whole life policy that some insurance agent tries to sell you. This is a specially designed and engineered policy designed for maximum cash value and maximum cash accumulation. So it must be set up the right way. This is really, really important. And when it is set up the right way, the agent who sets it up actually reduces their commission by 60 to 80%. So that's why a lot of insurance agents, one, they don't even know how to set these up. And two, they wouldn't because they don't want to lose that kind of money on their commission. So your money inside of here, it grows tax-free, right? And it grows at about 6% per year, and that's including compound interest and dividend. But here's where it gets really interesting, and here's the part that changes everything, and I mean everything. When you need money for an emergency, you actually don't withdraw it from your policy. You don't take it out of your account. Now, hold on. This is going to make sense. Just stay with me. Instead, you borrow against it. And now an alarm might be going off in your head and saying, wait, Eric, why would I borrow money if I already have the money in my account? Why wouldn't I just take it out and pay for what I need to? And that's a great question. You've been programmed to think about money a certain way for a very specific reason. The traditional banking system, the people that set it up, they need your money trapped. And yes, it is trapped in their system so they can get rich off of it. That's why you see all these fees to get out of 401ks and CDs and all of that stuff. This requires thinking about money completely different, everything that you've ever learned about it. So when you borrow against your policy, you're going to take a loan. Let's take a look at what happens. The insurance company is going to loan you money from their general funds, right? Using your cash value as collateral. But here's the kicker. Your cash value keeps growing and earning interest. That's 6%. As if you never touch the money. You don't take the money out of your account. You leave it in there, gaining and earning uninterrupted compound interest. So it's like having your cake and eating it too. Your money's now in two places, right? So let's say you have your $50,000 and it's earmarked for your emergency fund. It's parked there. And let's say you need $10,000 for an emergency. Something came up. Maybe you need to get a new roof on part of your house or something like that, right? 10,000 probably won't cover a brand new roof, but let's say you needed $10,000. So what you're going to do is you're going to take this, they're going to loan you that 10K at around 5%. So your $50,000 stays earning 6% compound interest while you now have $10,000 in your hand to go take care of your emergency. So now your money is in two places at once, right? I hope you're grasping that. So if you compare that to a traditional bank account, you can't do that. Let's say if you have your bank account and you had 50K and you need 10K for an emergency, what are you left with? You're left with 40K. And that's earning that 0.5%, hardly any interest, and it's simple interest. There's a big difference between simple interest and compound interest. Compound interest is where you earn interest not only on the money that you actually deposited, but also the interest that it earned. That's powerful. I mean, that's why Einstein said compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world, right? Simple interest, you only earn interest on the money that you deposited, not on the interest that it's earned, and that's how banks pay you, right? And what happened to this $10,000? You used it for an emergency. It's gone forever. You're left with $40,000. It can never work for you again. You literally just gave it away. And this is what we've been taught to do in our entire life, is just continue, keep giving our money away. And for good reason. They want us to stay on the hamster wheel. So what I just said there is actually one of the main reasons why wealthy families use this strategy. So if you could wrap your head around it, this will actually change your entire life. It's about recapturing and getting all of your money back after paying for something. That's a hard thing to grasp. We're not used to that. We're not taught that. So imagine being able to use that $10,000 for an emergency, but still getting all your money back at the end so you can use it again for the next emergency or the next opportunity. So let me show you how those exact numbers will work in this situation. We just went over it, but I want to clarify it for you. So your 50K is earning 6% compound interest. You borrow 10K on a loan from the insurance company at, let's say it's 5%. It's coming from the general funds, your money, your 50K staying in there earning. And then what you do, just like any other loan, you pay the loan back, but you get to choose the terms. You could pay it monthly. You could say, I want to pay it for a year, 5 years, 2 years. I don't want to make a payment. I want to pay it all back in a year. Whatever you want to do, you actually are the banker. This is how to become your own bank. You actually make the terms. So let's say you're going to do it monthly. You're going to pay it back every month. And let's say you're going to pay it back over, let's say you're going to pay it back monthly over 1 year. What happens to this $10,000 balance every time you make a monthly payment? That balance goes down. It's a decreasing balance. So you're paying 5% on a decreasing balance while your 50K, let me change the color here, your 50K is earning 6% and it's compound interest. So what's happening to your account there? That account is getting larger and larger because you're earning the interest on not only the deposits that you put in originally, but on the interest, on the compound interest that you've earned. So the growth of your account here would outpace the interest on the loan. So at the end of the day, you'll actually end up making money by taking care of an emergency that you had with your emergency fund. I hope that's making sense. I know this can be a little complicated, but if you have to, go rewatch that piece of the video. And the masterclass I'm going to send to you after this video and direct you towards goes into detail over and over. I knew when I first heard this, I had to listen to this over and over again. And when you pay that loan back, that money becomes available again for the next emergency or opportunity. That $10,000, once you pay it back, opens back up. And now let's say you had another emergency, or maybe you want to use it for an opportunity, right? Congratulations, you've just recaptured and got all of your money back. And here's what I think is the most beautiful part. The insurance company actually doesn't even ask you what the money is for. When you go to the bank for a loan, they're going to ask you, what's the money for? What do you need it for? And they don't even run your credit. They don't even care if you ever pay the loan back. Yes, you heard that right. They don't even care if you pay it back, because if you don't pay it back, it comes off the death benefit that's paid tax-free to your beneficiaries. I recommend that you do pay the loan back so you can actually use that money again for something else, but you don't have to if you don't want to. But I cover more of that in that masterclass as well. So you have complete control over repayment, whether it's monthly, lump sum, skip payments, whatever you want. You're the banker. Nobody's coming looking for you. The bank doesn't even ask if you miss payments or don't make payments. It's coming off the death benefit if you don't pay it back. So you become your own bank, and bankers make the rules. So if you compare this to other emergency fund options, you got CDs where there's penalties for early withdrawal. And again, your money's trapped. They don't want you to take your money out because they're lending it. They need your money as a business to go make other money on top of it, right? 401ks, again, taxes and penalties. They're going to penalize you if you take it out before you're 59 and a half years old. And they tell you that they're going to defer the taxes, right? It's the biggest lie and the biggest scam. Or tax is going to be more when you're 59 and a half or more than they are now. I'd rather pay taxes now on money and then have my money grow tax-free. It will get paid out tax-free to my beneficiaries. And investments, you might be down when you actually need the money and they're super high risk. You don't sleep well. So that's definitely not an option that I would use. With the Storehouse Strategy, your money is liquid. It's there when you need it, and it still grows even when you use it, right? That's one of the most powerful concepts. We've never been taught that, and for good reason. And most people hear this and they're confused, or it goes over their head because you've been programmed to think a certain way your entire life. But here's where this actually gets really powerful. This isn't just a normal emergency fund. It's actually the foundation of generational wealth, because it continues to grow uninterrupted compound interest for your entire life. And when you pass, right, we're all going to go at some point, your family gets a death benefit tax-free instead of like a 401k where you're going to get taxed at higher rates down the line. Proverbs 13:22 says, a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. So you're not doing that with a normal savings account, bank account, 401k, CD, or anything like that. It's not about how much money you have or how much you make. It's about how efficiently you actually use that money and how much you save. You got to stop giving your money away to everybody. Your emergency fund shouldn't just sit there doing nothing 99% of the time, sitting idle. It should work for you while remaining available when you need it. It's the same thing that happens with banks. As soon as you put money into the account, it doesn't sit there waiting for you. They put it to work right away. They know idle money is a liability on their balance sheet, so they loan it out and it becomes an asset. So now you understand why wealthy families have used this strategy and continue to use it for over the past 100 years. They use whole life insurance that's set up the right way as a financial tool, not just an insurance policy. right? They understand that you could have safety and growth, liquidity and returns, access to your money and wealth building, all packed into the same vehicle. Your emergency fund doesn't have to be a wealth draining liability that's losing purchasing power year after year. It can be the foundation of your family's financial future. The wealthy figured this out long ago, and that's why they've hidden it from us for a long period of time to keep us trapped into their financial system. So here's the question that I think that really matters. Are you going to keep doing what everyone else is doing and what you've been doing and getting the same mediocre results? Or are you going to start thinking like the wealthy and doing something different than what you've already done? So if you want a full breakdown of how the Storehouse Strategy actually works, check out my full breakdown video masterclass where I reveal everything, including real life examples of how I've used this strategy for the past 4 years on different things, for investments, for cars, for emergencies, for vacations, all types of things. So don't let another day pass watching inflation stealing your money or stealing your emergency fund. Hit that like button if this opened your eyes. Subscribe so you don't miss the next video that I release. And if you want to check out that masterclass, it's popping up on the screen right now. Go ahead and watch that. And until next time, my friends, stay blessed.